guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Malonemua for those of you that are new. If you are not new, thank you so much for coming back. Don't forget to go follow me over on my Instagram. My name is @Malonemua, just like here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you go, girl. You better be subscribing if you watching. Subscribe to my channel, be my friend. Subscribe to my channel until the end. Subscribe. So today I filmed this super bomb eye look for you guys. I wanted to do a super bomb, yes girl, slay work eyeshadow look for you guys using the new PLouise palette and the primer that I also got with it. The palette is super gorgeous, so if you want to see the palette and you want to see a tutorial on the palette using the palette, then make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video. But first, I'm going to go ahead and share a Bible verse with you guys. Today's verse comes from Matthew 17:20, and it says, "You don't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I tell you the truth, if you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it would move. Nothing would be impossible." Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and get into this tutorial/review using the PLouise palette. Girl, you better be excited because the look is bomb. Okay, so as you can see, the brows are done. They are carved out with concealer. So now we're gonna go ahead and go in and prime our eyes. And today, for the first time ever, we're gonna be going in with the PLouise Base. I got this along with the eyeshadow palette, and everyone has been raving about this and saying that they have ditched their MAC Pro Longwear for this primer. So girl, we're gonna give it the test right here, right now. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that on the back of my hand. So far, it just pretty much looks like a concealer. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with a flat concealer brush. I'm gonna take the Sigma Cream Color E58 brush, and I'm just going to dip into that, and I'm gonna start pressing it onto my lid just to set my eyes. Now, we're not gonna go in with a powder. We're not gonna set with a powder because the UK artists, that's how they do it. They do not set with a powder, and that is how I've been doing my eyeshadow recently, and I have been really liking the way it turns out. So like I said, I'm just gonna prime my lids with this. My first impression is that there is a really good amount of coverage. I do have a lot of discoloration on my lids, so the more coverage that I can get, the better. But it also seems a little bit dark for my skin tone. I am pretty pale, and so I do like a really bright concealer to prime my eyes. So I wish that they would come out with this shade just in like a little bit lighter than this one, because this one is like my foundation color, and I wish that they would have one that was my concealer color. Okay, so I just pulled that all the way from my lash line up to my brow bone where I concealed underneath my brows. And so I am just like swiping this onto my lid, and then I'm gonna go back in and I'm just going to take this brush and tap it into my lid. Especially go back on this one and make sure it's all tapped in. That way it has that tacky consistency and it's a little bit dried down, but it's not streaky, because we want it to have that nice tacky consistency before we go in with the eyeshadows. Okay, cool, so eyes are primed. So far, I'm happy with the results. I feel like it really did a good job of covering any discoloration that I had on my lids. They look smooth and evened out. The one thing that I don't love about it is the color. I wish that they had like a different shade range of this base, which I'm sure in the future they will come out with, but I just wish that they had one shade a little bit lighter than this, because that would be my perfect shade if they did. Okay, now the moment we've all been waiting for, I'm gonna go in with the PLouise palette. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous. And I have swatched this palette, but I have not used it on my eyes yet. So this is what the palette looks like on the inside. It's mostly matte shadows, and then these two on the end right here, these are both somewhat shimmery shadows. So I'm really excited to go in with this today. I have a look in mind that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start out with a deeper color, because I've noticed in all the PLouise like little mini tutorials on their Instagram, they go in with this base and then they go straight in with a dark color before they go in with a light color in the crease, which I'll show you what I mean by that. But if you're a makeup artist, you know that in the makeup artist world, you always go in with a light crease shade before you go darker, but in the UK, apparently they break all the rules and they go dark and then light, and it ends up looking incredible. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing because, girl, I want my eyes to look incredible. So the first shadow that I'm gonna go in with is the shadow Sun Kissed, which is this bright orange shade right here in the palette. And I'm going to be taking that on a Sigma Blending E25 brush. Make sure you use code Malonemua for 10% off all Sigma products. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start dipping into that shadow to see if there's any fallout. As you can see, I'm not seeing really very much fallout at all. And I have a lot of color packed on my brush, as you can see, holy pigment. So I'm going to do a little tap off on there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take this right into the crease of my eye. I'm going to start by packing that right into the crease before I go in and blend it out. And we're going to be blending in little tiny circular motions just to blend this into the crease. Holy moly, that is some pigmentation, girl. So now that I have that packed into the crease, I'm just going to start going in little tiny circular motions, and I'm going to take my time with this because since it is the very first shadow that I'm putting down in the crease, I want to really pay attention to how I'm blending it out, and I want it to be really flawlessly blended. I feel like the first shadow that you put down kind of determines how the rest of your shadow is going to turn out. So you always want to pay a lot of attention to that very first shadow you put down in your crease. So I'm spending a lot of time just going in little tiny circular motions. I'm not going in big circular motions and dragging this all the way up to my brow bone. I'm just trying to keep it right in that crease and make sure that it's really blended out. So far, I'm not seeing any patchiness at all. I really like the shadow. I really like the primer so far. I feel like the primer really gave the shadow a lot of pigmentation. And even blending it out, I feel like I'm not losing any of that pigmentation. Like it's still staying that deep orange. So far, I am pretty impressed with how these are going together. Okay, so now that that shadow is blended out to how I am wanting it, it's not all the way blended out, but it's blended out pretty well. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade Queen, and that's just this deep red shade right here. I guess it's not super deep, it's kind of like a bright red shade. And I'm just gonna dip into that on the same exact brush, and I'm gonna take it right into the crease. And this one I've noticed has a little bit more fallout than the previous, but I don't know if red shadows are just harder to make without fallout. So I'm just gonna take that and I'm gonna put it right into the crease as well, just tapping that right in that crease, and then we will go in little circular motions and blend it out. Okay, so something that I'm noticing is that even though there was a little bit of kickback in the palette and a little bit of like fallout on the shadows, when I'm applying them to my eyes, there is no fallout at all. I'm not getting any fallout underneath my eyes, which is incredible for the amount of pigmentation that these shadows have. So that is one thing that I'm really impressed about. Okay, so now that I have that red blended in the crease, I want that orange to be like a little bit more. I want it to come back a little more. So I'm gonna go in with a Vasanti Contour Eyeshadow number 4 brush. You know that this brush is an OG brush if you've been on my channel for a while. So I'm gonna go back in with that Sun-Kissed shade, and I'm just gonna tap it off. I don't want it to get too much of it. And I'm just going to lightly take this on the edge of that red, and I'm just barely touching my eye, and I'm just going in little circular motions to blend that orange in right on the crease of that red. Okay, so as you can see, that really helps to blend out the harsh line that we did with the red in the crease. As you can see, this lid is a lot more blended out up to the brow bone than this one is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing to our So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and go in with a mix of 2 shades. I'm gonna use the shades Bestie and Contour, which this one's Bestie, this is Contour. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with those 2 shades now just to deepen the look up a little bit. And I'm gonna go in with a Sigma Small Tapered Blending E45 brush to do this. So I'm just gonna tap a little bit into both of those shades. These ones have a lot more kickback than the previous ones. I don't know if it's the darker the shade is, the more kickback it's gonna give, but let me just show you. I don't know if you can tell, but these ones have a lot more kickback in the pan than the other ones did. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pack this on the inner and outer corners of my eye. I wanna go in with a Super Bomb Halo eye today. Little spotlight in the center. So I'm gonna take this dark shade and I'm first gonna work it into that outer corner, and whew, holy moly, that is some pigment. Okie dokie. So you do not need a whole lot of shadow with these. So I'm just packing that on that outer corner. And then I'm going tiny, little tiny circular motions. I don't want this shadow to get too much and overpower the red and the orange and just turn into like a muddy, deep, dark mess. And I actually think I'm gonna take this all the way across the crease, but just like focus it on those on the outer and inner corner, because when I do cut that crease, I want it to be that harsh change from like the concealer and the cut crease to this deep color. Okay, so now that I have that as blended as I'm wanting it and as deep as I'm wanting it, I'm just now gonna go in and cut the crease, the center of my lid, using that same PLouise base. So I'm gonna do a little bit on the back of my hand, just as we did before. So I'm just gonna cut the very center of the crease. I don't wanna cut the entire thing. I just want the center to have that cut crease. Okay, so I kind of decided to do that cut crease a little bit different than I normally would. I normally would just cut the crease and then bring the lines straight down, but I decided to kind of angle them outwards. So I kind of have like an angle up this way and then a curve and an angle out, just to do something different. Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just felt like doing something different than normal, so we did it. Also, let me know if you guys would like me to do a tutorial on how I do my cut creases, like how to get the perfect cut crease, because I've been thinking about doing a video like that. I can't talk while I cut crease. I was gonna do a video like that, so let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do a video like that, because I feel like a lot of people love the way a cut crease looks, but they have a lot of trouble doing one. So I would love to teach you how, so let me know down in the comments if you would like to see a video on how I get the perfect cut crease. Okay, so now that the crease is cut with that primer, I'm gonna go ahead and go in and set it with an eyeshadow. I've noticed that when I go in and I cut the crease like this, and I don't go in and set it before I go in and blend the edges where the halo is, that the halo, it doesn't blend out as well when it goes from that shadow to like that cream that I have in the center. So it always works better when I pack a shadow down and then I go in and blend it, if that makes sense. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I think for the center of my lid, I'm gonna go in with the shades Sunkissed and Burnt, which are these two shades right here. This is the orange we used in the beginning, and then this shade Burnt is a very pretty coral shade. So I'm gonna go in with a Sigma Large Shader E60 brush, and I am just going to mix those two shades together, and then I'm going to pack that right on top of that base that we just put down on our eyes. Whew. Holy moly, that is so pigmented. Okay, so now that we have that shadow packed on our lid, I'm just gonna go back in with a mixture of, actually I think I'm just gonna go into the contour shade, which was this super pretty, almost burgundy shade here. I'm just gonna take this one right here, and I'm gonna go in with that Sigma Small Tapered Blending E45 brush, which is the same brush that we used to put that deep color down. I'm just gonna go in with that shade of Contour, and I am going to start packing that right over the top of that orange that we just put down, just so it has more of that halo eye effect and there's that nice blend between the two. Next up, I'm going to be going in with a Sigma Blending E36 brush, and I'm going back into that Sunkissed shade, which is just the bright orange, and I'm going to take this right along the edges very lightly of that red to bring that orange back in once again. Okay, so for right now, the shadow's done. We are gonna go in a little bit and perfect things because things aren't perfect yet. But next I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Eyestudio gel liner, and this is in Blackest Black, and I'm going in with a Sigma Winged Liner E06 brush, and I'm just gonna do a quick little wing with this because I am gonna make it like a super smoked out wing. I want it to be a very like smoky, blown out, blurred out wing. But I do want to go in with a good base. So I'm going to go ahead and do a wing liner, and then I'm going to go into the black shadow and smoke it out. Okay, so I just did a very small, very messy wing, nothing too crazy. So now I'm going to go in with a Sigma Waterline Liner E17 brush, which just looks like this, and I'm going to go in with the shade Obsidian from the Anastasia Prism palette, just because this is a nice black shadow, and I'm going to pack that shadow right on top of that gel liner that we just put down before I go in and smudge it out. Okay, so 10 hours later and we are finally done smoking out the liner. So I know that my eyes have been taking forever at this point and they're not looking incredible at the moment, but I feel like this is one of those looks where you have to just put mascara and lashes on in your face and then it's like, dang, and the look looks bomb. So until then, we're just gonna really hope that it turns out bomb. But I do wanna do a few more final touches. I am gonna go in with the NYX White Liquid Liner. This is in Blanc, and I wanna take that on that cut crease and just do a thin little line right there. Let's hope to God that this turns out. Fingers crossed. Okay, we are getting somewhere. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the next eye, and then we're gonna pop on some mascara and lashes, and we'll be back. Okay, so at this point, lashes are on, the eyes on top are pretty much done. I should stop. I should just stop. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my face off camera because if I didn't, this video would be incredibly long, which all my other videos are long, but it takes me like 45 minutes just to do one eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my face off camera and then I will be right back and we'll finish up underneath the eyes and do some final touches. Okay, so now that the face is done, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in and do the lower lash line. So first I'm gonna be going in with a Sigma Eye Shading E55 brush, and I'm gonna dip into the shade Sunkissed, which is just that bright orange shade, and I'm going to buff this onto my lower lash line. Now that I have that orange shade down, I'm just gonna go in with the shade Queen, which is that bright red shade, and I'm gonna put this right over the top of that orange shade. Pretty much just matching what we did on the upper lid and doing it on the bottom. Next up, I'm just going in with a Sigma Smudge E21 brush and I'm going back in with that black shade from the Anastasia palette, and I am just going to smudge that right underneath that lower lash line as well and connect it to that smoked wing. Next up, I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline Eyestudio Gel Liner in Blackest Black, and I am going to quickly coat the inner rim of my eye. Ew, that sounds so gross. I am just going to go in with this really funky little Sonia Kashuk brush, and I'm going to take that and line my waterline on top and bottom. Okay, and then once I get to that inner corner, I'm actually going to extend a little black line out where my inner corner is, and then I'm going to fill it in with that same white that we have above. So I'm just going to show you what I mean by this. Okay, so as you can see, I just extended that black line out, creating a line on the inner corner of my eye, and then I went in and kind of blended it out. So now I'm going to go back in with that NYX liner, and I am just going to put a little bit of this right on the inner part as well. Okay, so now you can see that I added that little tiny triangle of white on the inner corner. That's just gonna help to really open up the eyes, but girl, it was not easy. Okay guys, so the look is complete. Girl, I am loving the way that this turned out. This is just a little testimony that when you are doing a makeup tutorial and you don't think that it's going super well, just keep going, keep blending, keep applying the makeup. Well, don't apply too much makeup, but always keep trying, don't give up. The look may turn out way better than you thought it would. So my final review on the PLouise palette right here, I think that this palette is absolutely amazing. I think that it's gorgeous. The shades are very pigmented. They don't have any fallout on your eyes when you apply them. They have a little bit of kickback in the palette, but that doesn't bother me. If you're someone that bothers you, then that might be an issue. But for me, that does not bother me at all. I used, I think, 4 or 5 of the shadows in this palette, so I did get a pretty good idea of how the shades work. So I do think that the palette is really, really good. I would absolutely recommend it. And then the PLouise base as well. I don't think that the shadows would have been nearly as incredible without that base, so I would absolutely recommend the base. I think the base is like $10, so it's absolutely worth it. It's a lot cheaper than the MAC Select Cover Up Concealer, so you should probably just get the PLouise base. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. Don't forget to go comment down below and let me know if you guys want to see a video on how to get the perfect cut crease. I would love to film a video for you guys on that. Also, comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of this look. Would you recreate this look? Do you love it? Are you living for it? Are you gonna get the PLouise palette? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You knew I was gonna say it. Alrighty guys, I love you so, so much. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to go watch my other videos and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.